Since I like stars, I had thought that Catherine Deneuve would fit the part wonderfully. We needed, in fact, because of the French co-production, we needed a French actress there. That was the origin. And in fact, Susan was in fact French because she was married to Pierre Granier de Fer, quite well-known film director at that time. So she fitted the French slot. Catherine had brought me on the idea to do the part, 3 parts with one. And then I said, well, why not? Let's try.
He came to my house in London, if I remember rightly, and I was incredibly excited about the idea of playing 3 people, well, actually 4, but 3 real people, and I was excited because he had done, is it Daughters of Darkness beforehand? And he'd worked with Delphine Seyrig, who was the most fantastic actress and had the most remarkable quality. And you think, oh, how exciting, you're going to work with a director who may make these qualities in you. You know, you never know, do you? But I think I was always going to be the 3 people. Because I remember the thing about trying to find different looks and about wigs and meeting John O'Gorman, the makeup artist, very early on. It was the excitement of doing the 3 parts. It was the excitement of working on a kind of project that I had not worked on before, where somebody had such a strong and passionate visual sense about it. The fact that I didn't understand everything didn't really matter because I'm a puppet in the scheme of things. And playing the 3 people was really exciting, and I think it was an exciting project to do, particularly at that point in my career. And the worst thing about the film was wearing the contact lenses, which made my eyes different colors. And in those days, they were made of thick glass. So you had to deaden the whole eye so that you had no feeling in them, and put these really painful thick. They were as thick as a nail. And they were completely immovable, whereas now contact lenses, you can have them in all colors, and they're completely soft, you know, like silk or jelly, but not in those days. They were very, very painful. Very painful.
And one of the magicians on the set was somebody called John O'Gorman. He was the makeup man, makeup artist. He had worked with the greatest female stars, Ava Gardner, Ingrid Bergman, that kind of magic people. And he knew makeup, and as Jerry Fisher is the best director of photography I've ever worked with, he was the best makeup person I've ever worked with. And he was truly a painter.
Sometimes I had to do 2 women in a day when we were under pressure, and it might be quite easy to change from the young girl into the woman who wore black all the time. But if I was doing the goddess, and that was not done on so many days, it was about 3 hours.
When you looked at his makeup very close, we had to use always scrims on his makeup, because the makeup on the women at least, and on Mathieu Carrière, was completely constituted out of little triangles. The whole thing was like a pointillised painting. The makeup of John stayed like a porcelain painting on the face.
The whole of the face was sculpted with, first of all, getting rid of my own color, then redoing the cheekbones, trying to make my nose different.
You know, Susan has a nose like this, and he made her a Greek nose without any prosthesis or nothing. It's just by shading it and painting it.
Resculpturing my eyes so that they had big sockets, so that my eyes looked as if they sat in my head differently than my own eyes do. So that was a very long job. The makeup and the wig and the eyes and the clothes were all completely different. So in a way, you were just, the jelly of your body was just being put into different things, and you sat there and somebody created another look. And I remember for the goddess, I had to be extremely still. And I know that Harry wanted me to be sensual for the lady who wore the black, and the girl was just comme ci, comme ça. And very often you'll find that the way you look governs the way you act. I remember quite distinctly that when I was playing what I call the aunt who wore black clothes and a completely different look, he did not find that I was sensual enough, and I could see he was really quite annoyed and quite frustrated and quite desperate that some kind of smouldering sensuality was not coming out of me, was not forthcoming. And I just remember one scene in a study with a desk with a young boy that he, for once, was really pleased and thought that it really worked. And I don't know why, but anyway, he was very pleased and I was so happy.
She had to get up at 4 o'clock. I mean, this is terrible. And she had to play 3 parts. Sometimes in one day she had to do 2 parts. Can you imagine? The makeup, we had to wait. And we used doubles with masks to play her other parts.
Ah, yes, let's dream. Ah, yes, let's dream. Ah, yes, let's dream. Let's dream of love. The day is dreary. The day is dreary. The day is dreary without wisdom.
I had sensational technicians for that movie. And in the first place, the best cameraman I ever worked with one exception, that he didn't like to photograph women. He liked to photograph character. So he was very good at photographing the 3 characters of Susan, because there he had something to do. But once he had found the character, he was relatively bored.
I've always tried to work on the basis of degree of logic, degree of dramatic effect, according to the requirements of the scene, and a respect for the proportion of importance of the acting, and of course the director, who is overseeing all of these things. So I'm always consciously trying to do what the director wants, but I'm still doing what I want. I try to do what he wants with what I want to do. In other words, I try myself to make myself want the same things. That's in the most successful arrangement.
He knew that the head had to remain like that. You know, light on a person in a film is a mask. You make a mask and you accompany that person, at least from the medium close-up on, with that mask, so that it will never change throughout the film.